Alrighty, YouTube. Good day to you all. Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. here in South Korea. Uh, if this is your first time viewing this video, this is the second video on some interesting words I've learned here in Korea. So I will link you back to very first video I made before, so you can if you want to follow this series. So basically, these are just some words that I think they're very interesting to learn because you have to actually research this stuff. There's like actually people living here in Korea, like native speakers that don't know these words, or they wouldn't have known these words if they hadn't uh, done their research. These appear on television in some certain shows, and they'll hear these words and they will understand them, so they will have to research them. So these particular words, you can't, if you're overseas, like in the US, you won't be able to learn them from a book. You can't buy a book. Maybe if someone writes a book with these type of words in them, but you can't just go into a bookstore or Amazon and find a book on this type of stuff. This is stuff that you have to learn um, just by living in the country. You heard it, you saw it on TV, and you ask um, a native. If that native knows, if that native doesn't know, then you have to do the research. So um, I'm gonna make it's gonna be a little series. Perhaps when I go back home, I'll continue the series. We'll see. We'll see. But these are very interesting. I found them very, very interesting. So here we go. So today, this video will be a little longer than the other one because we're talking about we have a total of 5 words here. We Before we talked about samposete. And now today we're talking about imposete, which I briefly mentioned in a previous video. Kamsujo, Heljoson, and Kengkolujok, and Baltejok. So these are very interesting. So I'm gonna start with imposete, obviously. So if you watched the previous video when we talked about samposete, it's very similar. But this means more. Um, the sample set there was just three things given up by a younger generation or by a particular generation. But this in posete means multiple things, more than three, more than five, a lot of things given up by a certain generation. So let's go ahead and read this and translate it. We'll talk a little more about it. So it says, 취업난, that means unemployment. So 취업난, 물가 상승. So 물가, well, let me read it first and I'll go. So 취업난, 물가 상승. 사회적 압박으로 여러 가지를 포기하는 청년 세대를 일컫는다. So 취업난 is unemployment, and mul is the price. So the mulga, the price has the sangsang is increased. So the price increases. So with the unemployment and the prices increasing, etc. Dung, it means etc. Dung is the same word in Chinese. They use dung. It's that word. It means etc. 사회적, that means the economy, or not economy. I'm sorry. This is society. Ampakalo, this mean like ampak is like to believe it's oh shoot, I forgot. Ampak. It means to rely on. That's what it is. Rely on. You rely on something. So ampakalo, yorokajiro. So things like things certain things you're relying on. You rely on for certain things. Um, Things that you relied on. Pokihanan is give up. So you give up. 청년 세대, that means the young generation. 청년 is the young age. 를 읽는다. This is a pure Korean word. It's just like that word. It means meaning, but this is more, it's this word here. It's the same meaning as that. So ilkotnanda. So it means, that's what that means. So when you translate in Korean, you have to like kind of go start at the end, because the sentence is flipped around. Like if you compare it to English, so it means that the young generation, they give up things they relied on in a society with the unemployment and the rise in prices, the increase in prices. That's what that says. So again, as we talked about before, with the sample set there, it's like they give up, like dating. We said dating, marriage, and the birth. They in the generation 20s, early, yeah, the 20s, 30s, they those things were given up because of the things happening in society. Um, can't find jobs and stuff like that. So people didn't feel that they um, had enough to partake in those things, to have a girlfriend, to get married and have kids. So it's like that, yeah, now, and I think it's like that in Japan. I think Korea is becoming more and more like Japan, in that respect. Let's go on to the next one. I don't spend too much time. So this is kamsujo. This is actually similar to what an expression that we use in America. Kamsujo, it means a golden spoon. It describes someone who was born with a golden spoon in their mouth. It's something like a silver spoon. Like here, the opposite. Bande mal means the opposite. This means what is it? Huksujo. Huksujo. This means soil spoon. So it's the opposite of gold spoon. Someone who has. Oh, let me go back. So kumsujo. All right. So read this. 좋은 가정환 경과 조건을 가지고 태어났다는 뜻. So 좋은 가정환, 좋은 가정환경. So that means a good family background. Good family background. And 조건을, in the wait, 조건을 가지고 태어났다. Oh, okay. So born in this good family background, born, and then a society. I mean, not society, the economy. So they born they have economy. Um, how, I don't even know how to translate this. So good family background. They were born, basically. It means that they were born in a certain economy with a good family background. That's what that means. That that means this meaning. And then Bante Mal is the opposite, and Haksujo is the soil. So it's the soil. Someone who has lived an unfortunate life. They didn't have that. They had to work hard. So go back. So Kamsujo, this person is born. They don't have to really work hard for certain things, like especially when it comes to finance. They grew up in a good family. Their family has money. Um, so they don't have to really worry about things such as going to school, education, um, all this stuff is laid out for them. This describes them, kamsucho. And again, just like the other words, like they make some jokes. They use these words on television and in some certain shows, and they make fun, not make fun of those people, but kind of joke around. Um, yeah. So kamsucho, and then the opposite basically is obviously it's the someone who has lived in a very unfortunate life. They had to work really hard all their lives, and even when they work hard, they still it's a possibility that they will end up in some unfortunate circumstances. So, but like I said, the Kamsucho, the Gold Spoon, they don't have to work hard for certain things, but it's like financial. They don't have to worry about that. But certain things like studying, maybe learning language or something like that, then that's different. Of course, they have to work hard. They want to get good in that stuff, but financially, they don't have to worry about that. So that Kamsucho and then the Huksucho. So those are good words to know. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is Hell Jo Sol. So hell. This is an English word, hell, and jiok. This is the Korean word which means hell. Kwa Joseon 한국인. So this is the Koreans. 조선의 함성어, 함성어. So it's like yeah, it's describing the Koreans, and it's just basically describing Korea. All right, hail, jiok is hail, gwa, and joseon. That actually means Korea, joseon. That's why this is a parentheses. Hangukin, it means Koreans. So joseon is Korean. Um, it describes, it's just actually describing Korea, the country. Hail Korea, as this what this means. Hail joseon, hail Korea. Why do they call it that? Because of the things that they have to go through on a daily basis. Like even at work, my friend was explaining to me that like how they're treated at work. Um, People in certain statuses, they kind of look down on a lower status, and they kind of the way they talk to them in certain contexts, it's like very, I don't know, it's like disrespectful, you know. And not only that, the society, a lot of the Koreans, they are very competitive, so everybody's competing against each other for something. So it's almost like a war field. That's what it feels like to a lot of Koreans, like it's a war field. That's why they call it Hail Joseon. They all this competition and stress. That's why the suicide rate. I think the suicide rate is higher than Japan. I think, well, Japan used to be the highest, but I think Korea is climbing up there. All the stress that they had to go through working, all this competition, and all that stuff is very stressful, which leads to some people commit suicide. So, like I said, it's like a war field to a lot of those people. Hence the name Hail Joseon. So these words were created almost by like a younger people. Like the older, like if they're in their 50s, 60s, they don't know these words. They don't know them. If you say these words to them, they would probably know, like obviously because Joseon is Korean, but they won't know what they mean. Like I said before, if you don't research them and find out what the meaning is behind them, then you won't understand them. All right, let's move on to the next one. Kangaroo joke. All right, this means kangaroo. This is English word. This actually says kangaroo, the kangaroo group or kangaroo family, kangaroo tribe joke. This is actually a Chinese word, tu, mean to the two. It's like a tribe or certain groups. So kangaroo, let's just call it kangaroo tribe. All right, let me read this. So 자림할 나이가 되었는데 또 부모에게 경제적으로 의존해 사는 젊은 세대. So so the kangaroo tribe. So 자림할 나이가 되는데. So jalim, that means independent. So independent age, although like they become independent. They come of age, at an age of being considered an independent, but Pumo is the parents, so Pumo에게 to their parents 경제적으로. So the 경제적으로 의존에 wait, 경제 what's 경제적으로 so for their parents, the economy in the economy, 전에 사는 젊은 세대. So uh, the young generation, the young generation living, they rely, they kind of, what we will say in English, like they leech off. Like when you leech off somebody, I mean, not, well, yeah. Leech, yeah. Oh, no, rely. Let's just use rely. Relying on their parents. So although they're at an age where they're considered independent, like they don't, they can take care of themselves. A lot of those people, although they're at the age, they have to still rely on their parents, and which means that even if you have a married couple and they have a kid, even if they're working and combine their income together, they're still struggling. So they have to move in with their parents, and they need that extra support. So if you think about it, it's like a kangaroo. Yeah, you put a baby in in the pouch. The kangaroo put its baby in the pouch. That's how it is. That's why they call it kangaroo, um, the kangaroo tribe. So you got these people living with their parents because they need extra financial support. That's what this is. So like again, the generation 20 years old. I mean, when you're 20, 19, you're considered you consider to be an independent. You should be able to get a job, work, and take care of yourself. But there's still people here that need that extra help. They can't survive without the extra help from their parents. So that's what that means. All right, let's move on to the last one. This is balte joke. So 30대 이후에도 독림하지 못하고 부모의 경제적 도움에 기대어 사는 사람. So baute means straw, and again the joke is the same. It's the same meaning. It means like a group or a tribe. So baute joke, it means the straw tribe. So it's a straw. So it says 30, even like some sheep there. So the person at that age of 30, even when they're after 30, um, 토크님 하지 못하고, 토크님 무시하고, they can't um rely on themselves, or they can't take care of themselves, and they 부모의 경제적. So again, they need their parents. They're using their parents for this extra support. Tome is help. And kideo means to rely on or to lean on something. And then sanan saram. So that means the people living. So it basically describes some person who's at the age of 30 and they can't take care of themselves, so they have to leech. They have to leech off their parents. It's the same concept as how we, as a word leech. Everybody knows what a leech is. You take a leech out the water, you put a leech on your skin, it'll start sucking your blood. That's what it is. About to you take the straw, you just put it in somebody, and you just sucking them up. You just that's what that is. That's how they are explaining that. So you just use a straw, some to just sucking all of your resources. They're using everything because they need that extra financial support. So Baltejo, the kangaroo tribe, Heljoseon, the Hail Korea, Kamsujo, the golden spoon, and then the Huksujo, the soiled spoon, and then you have inputs at that. So, yeah, like I said, I thought that was very interesting. These words are very interesting. I have a lot of other words too that I'm going to talk about. So I just let this video sit for a few days, and I'll make it. See, look, I have a list of some words here. You see, a lot of these are like common. These are words um, that are used these days. They have to be researched and understood so you can understand them. So it's a good little exercise for my Korean. Learn some more vocabulary. But at the same time, it's also knowledge to know what's going on and understand why things are the way they are, and understand how people feel in the society. So that is it. If you, like I said, if this is your first time viewing this video, I will link to the previous video in the description. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, thanks for viewing, and until the next video, you guys take care.